Imagine waking up one day and realizing that your fundamental human rights have suddenly changed. That maybe writing code is no longer considered speech, that privacy is no longer the bedrock of freedom, and that writing software can be treated like a crime. Who decides where that line is drawn and how far it'll go if we don't stop it? Today, I'm breaking down whether the developers behind the Bitcoin privacy wallet Samurai are actually criminals or a warning of what may be coming for Bitcoiners and seekers of self-sovereignty across the globe. Sadly, some people don't have to imagine this scenario. Today, the developers of Samurai Wallet are surrendering themselves to the US justice system for the crime of writing code. Check out this clip of Keonne Rodriguez explaining exactly what Samurai Wallet was.
Samurai Wallet was a non-custodial software wallet, Bitcoin wallet, that I and Bill developed in 2015. The point that we were what we were trying to solve with Samurai Wallet was addressing the fundamental privacy concerns that exist on the transparent blockchain that Bitcoin uses. And using mathematics and clever tricks, you could say, we were able to obtain a pretty basic transactional privacy model for Bitcoin. And Whirlpool was one of those software tools that we created to help improve privacy when transacting on a transparent, open ledger such as Bitcoin.
In other words, Samurai Wallet was basically a tool to protect transactions from surveillance on Bitcoin's public blockchain. Users retained full control of their private keys with no data shared to central servers by default. The wallet was praised by privacy advocates for promoting financial privacy and censorship resistance, aligning with Bitcoin's original Cypherpunk roots. But in April 2024, US authorities arrested founders Keonne Rodriguez and William Lonergan Hill, charging them with conspiracy to commit money laundering and operating an unlicensed money transmitter. Prosecutors allege that the privacy tools facilitated over $100 million in illicit transactions, with the service processing billions in volume and earning millions in fees. That makes me wonder, how much cash in US dollars gets used for illicit activity every year? And will cash then be considered illegal? Maybe that's why we've seen more and more businesses stop accepting cash since 2020. I don't know. Might just be a coincidence. In 2025, both developers pleaded guilty to lesser charges. Rodriguez was sentenced to 5 years in November and Hill to 4 years shortly after. Rodriguez will be starting his sentence today on December 19th, and Hill will be starting his sentence on January 2nd of next year.
The cypherpunks argued that PGP was like any other published material, because under the hood it was just a series of instructions to be carried out by a machine. Restraint on freedom of expression of software writers is anathema in a free society and a violation of the First Amendment, wrote the economist and entrepreneur Phil Salen in a 1991 essay titled Freedom of Speech in Software.
Encryption can't be controlled, whether or not it's powerful or has impacts on the government, because it's free speech.
In the early 90s, John Gilmore, who was a co-founder of the cypherpunk movement, risked going to jail in his campaign to force the government to acknowledge that regulating encryption violated the First Amendment.
We basically had a community of 1,000 people scattered around who were all trying different ideas on how to get around the government to get encryption to the masses.
Critics view the case as an attack on open-source privacy tools and free speech for developers, comparing it to past encryption battles. Precedent is clear. In Bernstein versus the DOJ 1996, a court struck down controls on encryption code, ruling computer language is just that. Language. And while the courts ruled it a speech, the feds fought for control over citizens under the guise of fighting crime.
The Clinton administration told Congress that Americans have no constitutional right to choose their own method of encryption and pushed for legislation that would require companies to build in a mechanism for law enforcement agencies to break in.
We're in favor of strong encryption, robust encryption. We just want to make sure we have a trapdoor and a key under some judge's authority where we can get there if somebody's planning a crime.
Later cases doubled down. Universal City Studios versus Corley in 2001 ruled that code is still protected even if machine readable. And Apple's 2015 fight against the FBI, who tried to force devs to write backdoors, was ruled compelled speech and therefore unconstitutional. All these cases spell out what is common sense for anyone familiar with the Constitution. Computers' code isn't just a tool, it's a form of expression. Programmers use it to communicate ideas, solve problems, and create, just like writers would use words or music composers would use notes. Denying First Amendment protection would crush innovation, privacy, and free speech itself.
What Eric meant by Cypherpunk's write code is don't be one of those guys who goes to a Libertarian Party conference and sits about getting somebody elected to the Los Gatos City Council. That way lies madness. Whereas the interesting things that had happened had been technological changes, the telephone, the copy machine, the VCR.
The philosophy that I really got interested in is that you don't just go and ask the regulator, oh, we need more privacy online. You go fix it. Arguing and complaining and lobbying and politics have nominal effect on what changes the world is technology adoption and, society moving, shifting its viewpoints.
For crypto-anarchists like May, writing code meant building systems for anonymous transactions on the internet that made the arbitrary divisions of the political world irrelevant.
National borders are just speed bumps on the information superhighway.
Code is language. Humans read, write, and debate it. It conveys meaning through syntax and logic. The Supreme Court even protects symbolic speech, like flag burning and art. So code qualifies because it looks and acts like speech.
The code that me and Bill wrote for Samurai Wallet and Whirlpool was free and open source code. So that code is out there. You can't get rid of it. And shortly after our arrest and takedown, some brave souls launched a fork of our code. And Samurai Wallet still exists, and Whirlpool still exists, and people are using it. And now what all the government has done is just drive it more underground into the Tor or dark web, and these people taking OPSEC incredibly seriously, not having a Twitter handle, not having social media, just having a Tor onion address, a dark web address, right? So all they've done is drive it underground and make it more resilient for the next time. So this stuff is not going away. The code is out there. That's like the Pandora's box. It's open now. There's no putting it back in.
Thankfully, Bitcoiners and privacy advocates have some allies in government, believe it or not.
I'm free, and it's because of you. You made this moment possible. You did this. Thank you. And you're not alone. You are part of something much bigger. This is bigger than Bitcoin. This is bigger than crypto. Freeing me took many, many people from all walks of life coming together and saying, this is not right. It took many people just like you saying, we care about freedom. And keeping somebody like Ross in a cage until he dies is a threat to freedom itself. It took President Trump recognizing that an injustice had been done and that so many of you demanded that I be freed.
President Donald Trump pardoned Ross on January 21st, 2025, upon taking office, fulfilling a campaign promise that he made to libertarians during his presidential run. He described Ulbricht's original sentence, 2 life terms plus 40 years, as ridiculous, because it was, arguing that it was disproportionate to the crime. Because it was. Trump also criticized the prosecutors and judges involved, calling them scum and lunatics who were part of the same weaponization of government he claimed was used against him. The pardon of Ulbricht's case supported Trump's broader pro-cryptocurrency stance given Silk Road's early use of Bitcoin. In the case of Samurai Wallet, Congressman Warren Davidson comments on the recent Samurai case by saying he should be pardoned. No charges should have been filed. No trial should have occurred. This is the equivalent of prosecuting gun manufacturers for what someone else does with a gun. Perhaps he agrees with Trump's fight against the weaponization of government and a Justice Department full of scum and lunatics. The bottom line is human beings have a right to privacy, and that extends to their online data too, which brings us to today's sponsor, Aura. Check this out. This is my data broker report. 11 pages. They know every old address I've lived at, phone numbers, family members, even what kind of car I drive. It's insane. Scammers, spammers, even stalkers can just buy your personal info, and it's totally legal and totally dystopian. Aura hunts down the data broker selling your info, gets them to take it down, and keeps it off automatically. You don't have to go full off-grid Bitcoin mystic and live in a Faraday cage because Aura lets you keep your modern life and your privacy. Aura has packed it all in: real-time dark web and fraud alerts, a secure VPN, antivirus, password manager, 24/7 US-based support, and $5 million in identity theft insurance if anything goes wrong. No other privacy service gives you this many tools for the same price. Protecting your Bitcoin in self-custody is absolutely necessary, but protecting yourself, that's non-negotiable. Go to aura.com/simplybitcoin and take your privacy back. All right, Aura protects you, but now let's talk about protecting your Bitcoin future, because stacking sats gets a whole lot easier when your miners are working for you and not against you. Would you mine Bitcoin if it was as easy as buying it? Then you should check out Sazmining. It's not hosted mining, it's mining as a service that actually puts Bitcoiners first. You can own a state-of-the-art mining rig, plug into affordable carbon-free energy, and stack Bitcoin just like Satoshi. No middlemen, no markups, and no worries. Saz doesn't tack on extra fees when you sign up, and unlike other companies, there are no rig upcharges or inflated power rates. Their entire business model is based on a clean and simple revenue share. They only earn Bitcoin if you are too. A total alignment of incentives and 100% Bitcoiner values. While some claim simplicity, Sazmining proves it. Let's just say that if you need a compass to find your miners, you're not in the right place. This is how Bitcoin mining should have always been done. Visit sazmining.com or scan the QR code to learn more and start hashing. So, is the samurai case unjust? Absolutely. This sets a scary precedent. Build privacy tech, go to jail.
They put you in jail right away. No trial, no nothing.
As Ross said, they wrote code that worked too well. Community outrage is huge. Petitions and funds are popping up everywhere, as they should. Bitcoiners need to support one another, especially during times like these. If you can, please sign the petition and maybe donate for the cause. I'm gonna link that in the description of the video below. And most importantly, educate yourself about your First Amendment rights and support candidates who will fight for these rights.
If anyone's interested in learning more about the case or interested in signing the petition, asking the president to pardon me and Bill, you can do that by going to billandkeonne.org. That's billandkeonne.org. There's a link right at the top there to sign the petition. Please do. It definitely helps. I was in a Twitter space 2 nights ago, and Ross Ulbricht joined that Twitter space, the first one that he's ever joined. And it was a really touching moment. We had like a 5-minute conversation one-on-one together where he showed his support. But one of the things that he said was how important the change.org petition was to him getting his pardon, that it really does make a difference. So please sign the petition, share it, get your friends and family to sign it. If you've heard me and think, oh, maybe there is something to this. If you've heard me and said, no, I'm not convinced, you definitely deserve to go to prison. That's okay too. I am going to prison. So don't sign it.
All right, before we wrap up the show, let's bring this home with a special message from our friends at Ledn. If you're stacking sats, you need Bitcoin-backed services you can trust. That's why we roll with Ledn, the global leader in Bitcoin-backed lending. Ledn has issued over $9 billion in loans since 2018 and a perfect record of protecting client assets. Why is a Ledn loan different? Collateral is not lent out to generate interest. No credit checks, funds in 24 hours, no monthly payments, repay whenever you want, 0 penalties. And their proof of reserves, verified every 6 months, keeps them transparent. Ledn lets you unlock liquidity without selling. Sign up through Simply Bitcoin for 25 basis points off your first loan. Scan the QR code or click the link in the show notes below to get your discount today. Now, let's wrap up the show. Are you as outraged as I am about the creeping surveillance state criminalizing code and invading your privacy? If you are, drop a comment and let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button, hit the subscribe, and turn on the notifications for the most fire Bitcoin-only news in the space. I'll see you in the next one, so remember to stack, slay, and stay bullish, baby.